Righto guys, today we're bringing you our thoughts on the Lumi 19. Bit of housekeeping before we get going. We're not sponsored by Nocpix. We have not endorsed this video. This is purely a reflection of our own opinion on this unit. Not the brand, not any other Lumi Monocular. This particular one I'm holding here. That is what the reflection and the, I guess, thoughts on this product are. Anyway, sit back, enjoy, and I hope this helps. Now, we're not new to thermal, but we were looking for, I guess, a budget-friendly thermal monocular that we could use not only as a monocular, but also a roof mount or on the electric gimbal of the buggy. We were looking at all the brands such as Hick Micro, Nocpix, One Leaf, and so forth. And we thought that, I guess, value for money, the Nocpix Lumi 19 would be the go. So we went in and found it, purchased it, and put it to use. Now, was it as good as we thought? Well, that's exactly what you're going to find out in this video, so stick with us because the conclusion will come at the end and it might surprise some of you. Now, to start off with, the Lumi 19 is a fairly budget-friendly monocular. I mean, we're talking monocular that you can probably pick up for around the $1,800 mark to $2,000, depending on where you look, or maybe even cheaper. Now, it boasts a lot of the features of some of the Hick Micro stuff and so forth. It's beautiful and light. It's fairly compact, as you can see there, and it boasts quite a few nice features. Now, just quickly, we're running ours on one of these, which is an electronic gimbal, and as you can see on the bottom, we've got the camera mount there. So that just pretty much slots into there and away we go. Or if we're using one of our camera tripods, then this bracket on the bottom here is fairly universal and it works, but we're not here to talk about that. So straight away, we read all the instructions to go along with it, worked out that the wireless runs on 2.4 rather than 5, which we weren't sure whether that was going to be a huge issue. But we sort of worked it out pretty quick. Now, it didn't like connecting to the Android device, so we had an iPad that seemed to connect up fairly well at home when we first turned it on. Now, just remember that one actually, just keep that one in mind. So once we'd obviously turned it on and sort of sussed out the menu and whatnot, we played around with the focus. We managed to get some pretty sharp images at close range, but we really wanted to test it out, I guess, at night and see how far we could push it. Once we'd worked that out, we decided we had to work out the mount that we're going to put it on. So we got one of the Smart Rest remote handle mounts. So what that meant is we had to attach a Picatinny rail onto the bottom of the monocular here, just in the mounting screw hole there, and we'd be away. But what we found with the Nocpix screw hole was it was very shallow. So it meant that the screw that came with the Smart Rest roof mount adapter didn't fit. In fact, it just didn't allow us to clamp that Picatinny rail on well enough. So what we had to do was pack that out with a rubber O-ring. That's okay. We got that done. It did end up being a bit of a pain in the ass, so that's why we decided to switch to a new electronic gimbal mount. And as I said, this bracket here, that went on beautifully and was fine. So that's something to keep in mind. If you are planning to put a Picatinny rail under one of these, you're probably going to have to pack it out with washers, as you saw in our install video. And one thing you got to keep in mind, when you do pack these out with washers, it does mean that the Picatinny rail wants to move ever so slightly. So what we had to do was pretty much put a bit of Velcro on the bottom of the Lumi 19 and onto the pick rail, and that just held it nice and tight. Once we'd done all that, it worked well. Now, we got this out in the field, and for the first night we used it, we were picking up animals at a very long distance. I mean, we were getting pretty clear identification on kangaroos and so forth out to about 500 meters, which I thought was bloody impressive for a cheap monocular. I mean, that's really not bad. Foxes, we were getting perfect detail out to 100, 120 meters. Beyond that 120 meters, I mean, it started, you know, losing a bit of its detail, I suppose. But even out at 300 to 400 meters, we could still confidently identify that it was a fox. Obviously, the way it was moving was a huge hint to us, but even if you didn't have that in mind, you could be pretty confident on what you were looking at in order to try and then go close the gap, get proper species identification, and then make your shot. Now, I wouldn't recommend, if you're new to this kind of stuff, that you go get a Lumi 19, you try and identify a fox at 300, you're using basic optics so you can't get a clear identification at 300 and send a shot, because I think that's pretty irresponsible. This won't give you clear identification at 300 on foxes or cats, but it will certainly give you an idea on what you're looking at to give you that ability to close the gap. So the first night on this went really well. It was beautiful, it was identifying stuff well, all the color palettes looked absolutely spectacular, which I'll run through a few right now. And as you can see, those color palettes are absolutely magnificent. Now, we do like the white hot. I think the white hot was fantastic. However, when I was shooting in and around some of those tight quarters, the pinks and the purples, and I don't know what you call that palette, but whatever it was actually really, really helpful, because it helped define a lot of different things in the close vicinity and made my life easy. So we've now used this for a fair while, okay, and now just recently we've started picking up a few problems with it. Every now and then this device here is prone to freezing. Now, when I say freezing, I'm not talking about freezing in the fact that everything just stops still and then you wait 5-10 seconds and it comes good again. I'm talking it freezes to the point of battery ejection. The only way we can get this to work again is to eject the battery out the back there and reboot it and start it all up. Now, the other problem that comes with that is reconnecting to your Wi-Fi device. And don't for a second think that the 2.4 is going to help you with the connection, because it makes it a pain in the absolute behind. Now, unlike 5, like a Wi-Fi that runs on the 5, it's going to be a lot easier to connect, where we find sometimes we've got to turn this device on and off 3 or 4 times before we even get the prompt in the menu to give us the passcode to link to our device. Now, why do I say about the menu? Because every time this device turns on and off, we've found we have to go into that menu to turn the Wi-Fi on manually every single time. So if you're out in the bush and you've just got to change a battery, you're then turning the unit off, turning it back on with the new battery, going into your Wi-Fi, switching that on, hoping it spits out the code, and then it'll link down to your Wi-Fi device. If it doesn't spit out that code, we've found that this will not connect to our devices. Now, we've tried it on many devices, okay, and not much bingo. I have spoken to Nocpix about this, and they've suggested a firmware update, which we've done, and I can't say it's improved it much. Now, is that a deal breaker? I don't know. We'll get through that in the conclusion, but it's certainly something to keep in mind. The battery life on this particular unit we have found is around the 3 to 3.5 hours of full blast go down onto the Wi-Fi device and scanning quite regularly. So really, I think out of an 18650 battery, that's quite good. A lot of people would go, oh, that's terrible. No, look, really, that's quite good. You do definitely have the ability to run this, I believe, off USB-C, which I want to look into further and run it off an external battery pack. But I don't think 3.5 hours is bad, especially when you can pick up spare 18650 batteries for under 20 bucks each, okay? And they do a great job, and it means that you just buy 3 of those. I mean, I think this unit came with 2 anyway, so you just got to buy 1 more and you've got a whole night ahead of you, 10.5 hours roughly, that you can thrash this unit. Now, sometimes we have got closer to the 4 hours, but I think safely you're saying 3 to 3.5. The clarity of this unit has been really good, and the ease of use of this unit has been really good. However, this unit here we have found to go in and out of focus a little bit. Bit weird, given that it's a manual focus device. However, we have found that from time to time, it does slightly shift itself out of focus. Why, I don't know, but it's as simple as just slightly notching that and away you go. not too bad. The refresh rate on this is pretty good. It's quick. It does it, you know, on fairly nicely scheduled, I guess, time frames. And I mean, you do have to pull your head around the fact that you could be in the middle of scanning a fox, getting ready to put it into a prime position with the monocular, and then it'll freeze frame just to do that refresh. And then all of a sudden the fox is over there a little bit, or over there a bit, wherever it goes. It doesn't have LRF, which is one thing I should have thought about. This isn't a Nocpix issue, this is a me issue. I should have thought about this before purchasing this device. Not having LRF is not a huge problem so long as you've got LRF on your, or laser rangefinder on your personal scope on the rifle. But if you don't, it is very hard for anyone to tell physical distance on thermal or day-night scopes. So if I had the LRF on this, it would save a lot of time of scanning the animal, finding the animal, putting the rifle up on the rest, looking through, hitting the laser rangefinder, working out that potentially it's still too far, and that process takes 5 odd seconds. Now 5 seconds doesn't sound like long, could be 10 seconds, but it's a heck of a lot of time when that animal could be moving. So to have a laser rangefinder on this would have been super handy to, I guess, get that distance and work out whether or not it is even worth bringing the rifle up onto the rifle rest of the buggy or not. So that's something I would do different next time. The feel of the Monocular is really good. It's got a fairly soft rubbery coating around the outside and then a really hard plastic there. I do like how Nocpix has made that semi-magnetic there, so it sort of holds your lens cap. Now this lens cap will drop off throughout the night if it's on a roof mount. It just will. Not a problem with Nocpix. It's just, you know, you're moving around, you're bouncing around. We've used it in all weather conditions, be it rain or really clear nights, and it's not affected it at all. I've found that the waterproofing has been really good. And one thing I did like is how deep in that lens is in the actual focus ring, or whatever you want to call it. Means that we have not got much rain on that lens. In fact, we've been out heaps of times with this now, and I've cleaned this lens once. I just find that it really, it's probably a lot to do with sitting on the roof as well, means that it stays out of harm's way a lot. So the conclusion on this particular monocular, would I recommend it? Now, as I said, I've used a lot of other monoculars. I've used the Hick Micros, I've used now the Nocpix, I've used One Leaf and so forth. And for the money, I think it's okay. Would I buy it again? I'd probably look at other brands in there. One thing I will say for the money, it certainly bats up around the comparable Hick Micro stuff. However, when I put it close to a budget-friendly thermal monocular or thermal scope, like let's use the One Leaf Mars MT1000, which is a thermal scope, I feel that that's a far cheaper unit, but does a better job than this. Of course, having the freezing, the connection issues, and the focus distorting sometimes has meant that I'm probably not as pleased with this unit as I want to be. But it's certainly not saying that this unit is not suitable for you. It is still a cracking unit. I do not think, though, that this is a great roof mount unit. I think where this unit here comes into its own, the Lumi 19 is perfect for that handheld monocular, which is what it's designed for. It's not really designed, honestly, to be on a roof mount. It can do it, but as I said, I've highlighted some issues. I think if you really wanted to go into a roof mount in the Nocpix sort of stable, you'd be looking a lot more at the Nova. I think the Nova would be actually a far better candidate for that. But all in all, for that sort of 1,800 to 2 grand, this is an okay unit. It's certainly going to do the job. It's certainly going to impress you, but it may also give you the proverbials from time to time. I personally am going to stick to the cheaper units in the One Leaf range because I feel I get a slightly better image for a much better price. However, I think if you're not interested in sort of the more dedicated thermal scopes, then the Lumi 19 would certainly be the next one for you. Would I say it's better than the Hick Micro stuff? Probably not. So guys, that is my personal opinion on the Nocpix Lumi 19. It is a reflection and a reflection only of this particular unit. Now, there could be other Lumi 19s out there that do better than this one. As I said, this isn't a reflection on the brand. It's not a reflection on the model of the scope. It's a reflection on this particular Nocpix handheld monocular that I have. I hope this was helpful, guys. Hope it helps you make a decision. And until the next episode, we'll catch you later.